Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Wednesday. It's time for Down to the Wire on the Vegas Insider Network presented by BetMGM. I'm your host, Joe Madden, and I have a great lineup today of guests. We're going to start the show off with Kelsey Nicole Nelson, and then we'll have Dexter Henry in. It's going to be a fun show. I've got two best bets for you that we're going to jump straight into now. My first best bet is on the ice tonight. We know the NHL regular season did kick off, and I'm looking at the matchup between the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, I'm looking at the total in this one. Under 6.5 for this game. Now, I know this total has moved up, originally 6, with Elvis announced as not starting in this game. He did get injured Wednesday in practice with a back injury. Now, Elvis plays for the Columbus Blue Jackets, but I'm not too concerned. We have the Carolina Hurricanes coming out here. Their strength of their team really is their defense. I'm looking for them to come out strong defensively, limit the shots on goal and the goals by the Columbus Blue Jackets, and for them themselves to play a really strong defensive game and not light up the board in this one. I think that they're going to score the majority of the goals. They won't allow Columbus to score enough goals to push this over that 6.5. So give me the under 6.5. Frederik Andersen is back in goal for the Carolina Hurricanes. This is going to be phenomenal to see him back. We know he got injured last season, wasn't able to finish it out. It's going to be a great game, you guys. We're going to take the under 6.5 in this one. Now, if you like what we have going on here on Down to the Wire, you're going to love what we have with our Vegas Insider app. I want you guys to go over and check it out. We have up-to-date, easy-to-navigate odds in every major sport. We also have our latest shows, the best bets, videos, and podcasts. Props, trends, futures, news, all on the Vegas Insider app. Download the Vegas Insider app right now on Apple and Android. Bet better with the Vegas Insider app. You guys, it's time to welcome Kelsey Nicole Nelson to the show. Kelsey, welcome to the Down to the Wire.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Joe. It's always a pleasure and honor to join you. So happy Wednesday to you and your audience.
I am so excited to have you here. We're going to talk some football today. We have to get your take on the Washington Commanders. They're taking on the Chicago Bears Thursday night football. Carson Wentz talked down about from his head coach. Yeah. Kelsey, what's happening?
Oh my gosh, it's chaos in Washington. I don't know who I'm surprising, but Ron Rivera's comments, probably not the best time to drop it at a time that the team is struggling. Offensively, this team's putting up 35 points, one of the most pass-happy teams. So people were like, well, what do you mean, Ron Rivera? And of course, the whole thing with Ron Rivera is you have to believe in your quarterback, and the quarterback has to know the coach has your back. And this is the same Ron Rivera head coach, Joe, that said when rumors came out that Washington wanted Jimmy G, that he said no. Carson Wentz was always that guy. So when you're asked about why your team is the team struggling in the NFC East, as all the other NFC East teams have found some success, and you say one word, quarterback, that's a problem, because it makes it seem like Carson is the reason why Washington is losing, when honestly, it's not just Carson Wentz, Joe. You have to look at the problems this offensive line has had. You have to look at Washington having 20 penalties in their last 2 games, obviously losing a lot of yardage and a lot of momentum. You have to look at how the defense has been tested in Washington, how Washington, even though they love to throw the ball, they haven't had much success getting the ball to all of their receivers. And so you also look at Washington's slow start. So all that to say, Ron Rivera creating some bad bulletin board material for this Washington squad, and more of the same, Washington getting off to a slow start here in DC. If you're looking for an exciting Thursday night football game, I don't know if Commanders and Bears is going to give that to you, because on the other side of the ball, Justin Fields also struggling, probably another quarterback that people have questions about. But both quarterbacks need this game. Both quarterbacks have questionable offensive lines. But I think the biggest thing here is what defense will come through. I think many are looking at Washington's defensive front going against the Chicago Bears offensive line, Joe. But yeah, Carson Wentz can't be happy with that. Ron Rivera did apologize to not just Carson Wentz. He also apologized for the team for making a, quote, distraction, with that comment. But you have to just think about an offense that's trying to bounce back. Just got Brian Robinson back, who was shot twice just earlier this year and had found his way back on the football field, got a standing ovation at the last Washington home football game against the Tennessee Titans. It's just like, just when I get a bright light, Washington once again shoots themselves
Yeah.
in the foot. So the comments didn't help anything, Joe, and there's so much chaos right now happening in Washington and things just not going right on either side of the football as Washington now sits in a 4-game losing streak.
Now, it makes me question, do you think Ron Rivera said this to fire something up in Carson Wentz? Because we know in his last game, he did come out strong. He completed 66% of his passes. Do you think maybe this is kind of reverse psychology here, where he's like, let me just put this out. Maybe Carson will step up.
You know, it's interesting if he does choose that to try to get Carson fired up. Carson should have been fired up from the start that he got here. This was supposed to be his last stand, his chance to prove himself to everybody in the world that he still has what it takes to be a starting quarterback in the National Football League. I mean, Carson Wentz had what every quarterback would want. Quality wide receivers. You know, you have Terry McLaurin, who got paid well with his contract extension, very well deserved, one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League. Curtis Samuel stepping up, you know, a guy like Logan Thomas, who has been a surefire, solid tight end. So people just felt like he had one job. And I think Carson, there's already bad narratives going out about him. There was a viral interview from a local DC reporter, you know, who basically kind of embarrassed Carson Wentz with this question, you know, basically saying, you know, no one believes in you. So what are you going to do? What do you have to prove? So I don't think Carson Wentz honestly needs anything else. He hears the bad and negative headlines. He has to go home to his family at night after hearing that. He has a team that looks up to him. He's supposed to bring this veteran leadership into that locker room. So honestly, I think it was just a bad choice of words by Ron Rivera. And honestly, when you think about it, it just doesn't make sense. When you look at the NFC East this year, quarterback play was the big question. All right. We wanted to see, is Dak truly back? And of course, now Dak Prescott is trying to work his way back in. No one probably would have expected Cooper Rush to do the job that he's done with Dallas thus far. And Dallas continuing to be a team that makes you scratch your head and just say, might have to look out for them. And then, of course, Jalen Hurts, he's been doubted for a long time since he's entered the pros. But what he's been able to do with the Philadelphia Eagles and that offense has just been special and has also been able to get it done on his legs. And I think the biggest surprise for everyone, Joe, has been Daniel Jones. Now, is Daniel Jones the best cornerback in the division? No, but him and Brian Daboll are getting the job done. And all of a sudden, the New York Football Giants went to London, came back with a comeback win, defeated the Green Bay Packers, and now they're another team that people are looking forward to. Now they're going to have a big test in front of them if they can beat the Baltimore Ravens at their home stadium. So lots of questions, but once again, quarterback play. Carson Wentz on paper, when you look at what he's done on accolades, he should be the best quarterback right now in this division, probably him and Dak Prescott. But right now, he doesn't have anything really to show for it, other than Washington having a great week one, defeating a Jacksonville Jaguars team who has since turned their season around.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to move on to this Giants game in just a moment. Before we do, looking at Justin Fields for the Bears, we know the Bears are strong on the run game. If he has to pass this, I'm looking for interceptions. Who on the defense of the Commanders do you think would be a possibility for us to look at for those interceptions?
Ooh, now this is a big question. And, you know, this is kind of getting testy, Joe, because one of the problems the Commanders have had on defense is that they have one takeaway right now on the year. Yeah. That's a problem. If the defense really wants to do something, you got to have takeaways. And it's interesting you pointed that out. You know, Justin Fields now just for the second time this season attempted 20 pass attempts. So obviously you can tell he's trying to get back into a groove, but his offensive line is not fully helping him. Now we know William Jackson has just been ruled out of this game for Washington. Won't be traveling with the team to Chicago because of an injury. The secondary, though, Joe, has been tested in Washington. You look at a guy like Kendall Fuller, who right now, I mean, I think every offensive guy loves. He's been getting tested the most, and guys have been racking up the most points in yardage against him when he's tested. So you look at somebody like him and just thinking, you know, we need him to be a ball hawk. You know, Cam Curl, another guy back there, you know, that you would hope steps up for Washington. But at the end of the day, hopefully it's one of those two guys, because if Washington wants to win this game, they are going to have to help their offense, and a takeaway would be that best bet. And Washington, again, they're very low in that category in the National Football League, and I think that's one of the reasons why their record is what it is, sitting at 1-4 right now, again, because the defense has not been able to create those forced turnovers that the offense, again, badly needs, since they have been struggling to find a groove very early in football games.
Well, I wish your Washington Commanders all the best in this game
They
versus
need
the
it,
Denver
Joe.
Bears.
They need it. They need some positivity in Washington. It's been a lot of sad fans and a lot of fans questioning about keeping their season tickets. So
Have you
we
seen
need all the
fans?
positivity.
Have you seen fans walking out at the end of those games? We saw it in Denver for Denver's last game. What are you seeing there?
Oh, I saw it firsthand when the team played the Philadelphia Eagles. First of all, a lot of fans felt disrespected that there were just as many Eagles fans in that stadium as Washington fans. And by the time that game was ended, by the fourth quarter, you were glad to get out the parking lot because a lot of fans had already left. Joe, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm good getting out of FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. Forget the traffic. So yeah, fans are mad at the product on the football field, and I think a lot of fans, especially after that last game when Washington had a chance to come back against the Tennessee Titans, and then Carson Wentz throws a game-ending interception. Fans are just sick and tired, Joe, of being sick and tired here in Washington. So yeah, season ticket holders, I'm telling you, you can get a ticket in Washington to go to a game. They're more than happy to give it to you right now because they're not proud of the play on the football field. And honestly, they're not believing in this head coaching regimen. The hashtag Fire Ron Rivera has been trending on social media all week long here. There's been questions about, all of his play calls and timeouts, clock management. So a lot of people are just wondering, is he the true commander that's needed in Washington to lead this Commanders team after not yet having a winning season since he's been here in Washington?
Well, time will tell. We know coaches get fired right after games if they lose. So best of luck to Ron Rivera and the Commanders. Let's move on to the Baltimore Ravens taking on the New York Giants. The Giants, if you told me they're going to be 4-1 at this point in the season, I would have laughed at you. Baltimore rolling 3-2, Lamar Jackson, MVP style player here. But Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, they're getting things done. Kelsey, where are you going with this one?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So the Baltimore Ravens have probably been one of the bigger disappointments this year. Why? Not because they're a bad team, but because they've had two bad losses now on their record that they should have won, letting two teams come back from more than 17 points down. That's not Baltimore. If you know Baltimore, they pride itself on the defense. This season, when you look at the people that they have on paper, getting Marcus Peters back, adding Marcus Williams, who unfortunately is out right now on IR after getting injured, Marlon Humphrey, Kyle Hamilton, like they've had the guys that they've needed. But right now, everything's not clicking for Baltimore. Right now, they're the worst passing defense in the league. Guys are getting their way against this defense. They're getting tested, and they just haven't been able to help, I think, the offense as much. And then on the other end, Lamar Jackson coming off not one of his best games. Luckily, he had a great drive at the end. He had 3 runs kind of at the end of that game to get Baltimore in good shape for their guy, their GOAT, Justin Tucker, to be able to go in and kick the go-ahead field goal. We might as well say that for Justin Tucker from now on, the go-ahead field goal kick, because he's not going to miss. But at the same time, Baltimore had big expectations heading into the season. Lamar Jackson playing for his money, that was the whole thing about this season, feeling like he deserves so much more, being deserving to be a top quarterback paid in this league. Obviously, we know what he can do, on his legs, but bulking up his arms this season to also get it done through the air. And through the first games, we saw that. But in the last game in Baltimore, overthrowing receivers for what would have been kind of sure-handed touchdowns. And then the offensive line, health, keeping them healthy so Lamar can do, what he does is also a big question. But again, the biggest thing right now for Baltimore is their defense is going to have to make necessary changes. And oh, by the way, they're playing Wink Martindale this week, their old defensive coordinator. So there's going to be some hostility there, but also a guy then there who in the Giants knows Lamar Jackson very well. So expect some different type of play schemes and calling. But I think the biggest thing too about Baltimore right now is that they have to do more to expand the offense. Mark Andrews, he's amazing and he's awesome and he's great at tight end, but you're going to have to give the ball to different guys. And it hurts Baltimore right now to see that injury to Bateman. But the ball is just going to have to be spread around more because, again, right now, I think that offense is pretty predictable. And right now, the Giants defense is one that you do have to take seriously because they have been making strides and have been able to make stops. You can see that with their last game against the Packers, they were able to make some pass deflections against Aaron Rodgers, which helped the Packers not be able to come back to beat the New York Football Giants over in London, Joe. So this should be a good game. I know Baltimore is heavily favored in this one. I think Giants are feeling disrespected. They're feeling like they beat quality teams like the Titans, but that no one's putting any respect on their name yet. But, you shouted out Saquon Barkley, and what a year he's having, especially after,
Absolutely.
his career has been so injury riddled, and we know how great he's been. It's just so great to see him kind of taking off and getting some well-deserved shine. But better believe Baltimore's trying to get back on top of things, because they do believe that this year they are a true Super Bowl contender, and that makes things turn things around. And that's beginning right now, this point in the season, Joe.
Yeah, there's so many question marks for people if the New York Giants are for real or not. If they come out here and beat the Ravens straight up, there's going to be no question marks after this. It's going to be quite the game at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sunday.
Oh, it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that one, Joe. And then we got the Cowboys and Eagles, Sunday night. So it's going to be a fun week 6 of football. I'm looking forward to it.
Hey, Kelsey, before you leave, I have to ask you, who would you rather see in there as the quarterback for the Cowboys? I think you leave Cooper Rush in, even if Dak is healthy. Your thoughts?
Completely agree. We think we've learned enough in the National Football League. Do not rush these quarterbacks back until they are fully healthy. It always ends wrong when they're rushed back too early. Cooper Rush has developed a good sync right now with his offense. They're doing really good things. Again, this is why the Dallas Cowboys have snuck up on top of many teams. They're now one of the best teams in the National Football League. So, if something's not broken, don't fix it. Right now, the Cowboys offense isn't broken with Cooper Rush, so don't fix it. I think you slowly ease Dak back in, but right now, let Cooper Rush continue to play out while he's still playing good football. If I'm a Cowboys fan and Rush, we trust. That's how I would feel.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I know Dak is probably pushing to get back out on that field as soon as possible, because he is seeing Cooper.
There. But at the same time, he has to look at it. Of course, it's a competition all the time, but right now the team is moving. They're grooving. Do not break up, again, what the Dallas Cowboys have right now. If Dak wants to be there, he's going to have to work himself back. But, we talked about a guy like Carson Wentz. He's somebody else who knows, someone steps in for you and does a good job. And, sometimes they take off. And that's not to say Dak is not the future. But once again, we have to put some respect on the job that Cooper Rush has done with that football team. And again, this is why the NFC East right now, one of the most competitive divisions in football.
Yeah, where everyone thought it would be the AFC West. It's absolutely incredible over there, Kelsey. But where can people find you on social media?
Joe, always a blast to join you. Always love talking football. I'm especially excited for this week 6 slate of games in the National Football League. But everyone can follow me, The Real K Nelson, on social media. Check out my website, KelseyNicoleNelson.com, and also on Facebook, Kelsey Nicole Nelson. Looking forward to connecting with everyone. And Joe, again, just so great joining you here. Had such a blast. And again, hello and bye-bye to everyone that tuned in.
Kelsey, thank you so much for joining us here. You guys, make sure you go give her a follow on all social media. You won't be disappointed. Kelsey, best of luck to your Washington Commanders on Thursday night.
Oh, they need it. Thank you, Joe. We'll all be watching Thursday. Have a great one.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye. You guys, that was Kelsey Nicole Nelson. Make sure you do go over and give her a follow. She's absolutely phenomenal. We are going to have Dexter Henry in just a moment. But before we do, I want to tell you about our friends over at BetMGM. Kick off your new pro football season with the king of sportsbooks. Sign up with BetMGM using promo code VI bonus, and your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. That's VI bonus. All one word, no spaces, and your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. Visit betmgm.com for all terms and conditions. BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Okay, you guys, it is time to welcome Dexter Henry to the show. Dexter, how's it going today?
It's going good. It's been a busy day, Joe, but I'm doing well. Can't complain. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful Wednesday. I get to be here with you on Down to the Wire. We have a baseball playoffs in full action. Wow, it's definitely a good Wednesday. And NHL, there's 6 games. What could we ask for more?
Couldn't ask for more, but the good sports. And I just heard Kelsey on with you. Hey, Kelsey. Hopefully her Washington Commanders can get her a win, because they're not looking good right now. So hopefully that happens.
Oh, yeah. The Washington Commanders really need it. She mentioned Ron Rivera on the bubble. If not, I can't believe that is trending fire Ron Rivera. But we all know in this league, you've got to produce or you've got to walk out that door. Let's talk some MLB, though, to start off the show here. You're looking at, there's two games on the Diamonds today. We got the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Atlanta Braves. We know the Phillies got a nice upset win yesterday. Beautiful plus money on that money line if you were taking them. What are you looking at for this one today? Zach Wheeler coming out for the Phillies, Kyle Wright for the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one in this one, Joe. And look, there's some inclement weather down there in Atlanta. So you got the rain delay here. If you really believe in the Phillies, you got that plus 120 again with them if you're tempted to. Now, couple of good things you could like if you like the Phillies here. Wheeler, he's been really good. Check out his ERA, 0.42 since early September. That's been great. However, Wheeler's always better at home than he is on the road. He's down in Atlanta here, where his ERA on the season was 3.84, at home 1.85. Now, Kyle Wright on the Atlanta side been fantastic for Atlanta all year. Atlanta in Kyle Wright starts at 24-6 on the year, and they've won 16 of his last 17 starts. Wright's been good for them all year, 20-plus wins. I like Atlanta to do it again. I would take the Braves money line here. I'm not even playing around with the spread, minus 1.5 runs. I'll go with the Braves money line, seeing it around minus 145. That's what you guys have it right here, minus 145. Bang the Braves money line. That's the way to play this one. I like the Braves to bounce back here with Kyle Wright on the mound at home.
Yeah, you got to think this Braves team is hungry to get the win here at home after being upset yesterday in that one. Let's move on to the next game of the night. We got the San Diego Padres taking on the LA Dodgers. Now we know the Dodgers got a nice 5-3 win over the San Diego Padres. The Padres starting Yu Darvish today. Clayton Kershaw coming out here for the Dodgers. We got the Dodgers again. Heavy favorites, minus 188-ish on that money line. Total has dropped from 7.5 to 7. What are you liking here?
Yeah, I saw that total drop from 7.5 to 7, and Dodgers still big favorites after winning the first game. Padres are going to have to get more offense from the top of their order. Can you believe that Yu Darvish can pitch as well as he did against the Mets again? I would say no, I'm not buying it because the Mets offense was so anemic down the stretch in September and obviously in the wild card round. I'm not saying I think Yu Darvish will pitch badly, but against this Dodger lineup, I think he will struggle a little bit more. I like the Dodgers to take a commanding lead. And this is why I'm buying in on the Clayton Kershaw stock here. Now, we know Kershaw has had postseason troubles, but we saw what he did in 2020, and that's where I really think that he's pretty much righted the ship. Now, if you look at Kershaw this year, he's pitched well despite a couple of stints on the injured list. 5-0 since he returned from the injured list back in September, and his ERA is $1.50. So he's been pitching really well over the last month. I think he knows at home, in front of that crowd at Dodger Stadium, pitches well again. I think he shuts down the bats of the Padres, and the Dodgers go up 2-0 here. Now, it's not great value with the Dodgers money line at minus 189. I usually don't really like to touch it if it's like higher than minus 140. Maybe you want to play with the spread, but if you really believe the Dodgers could win, I say just take the money line here. In the playoffs, runs are a premium. This could be a one-run game. Take the Dodgers if you believe in them. Also, wouldn't be shocked if I see Clayton Kershaw anywhere over 5-6 strikeouts in this game. Maybe look at that as a prop as well, too.
Now, interesting you mentioned Kershaw's strikeout prop. I want to hear your thoughts on Yu Darvish here. His number is sitting around 5.5. Now, we know the last time he was on the road versus the Dodgers, he had 9 strikeouts in that game.
Yep.
Over the course of the last, I believe it's 6 games versus the Dodgers, in LA, he's averaged 8.16 strikeouts per game. With this number at 5.5, would you trust in him to go over that strikeout prop?
I'm not crazy about it. I don't super trust it, Joe, but it's interesting considering what he did the last couple of times he's been in LA. High strikeout numbers are hard. I like it more for the pitcher going against a team that's down here, as I said with Kershaw, because they might be pressing to get hits a little bit more, especially on the road. Things are going to get a little tight. They might be a little bit anxious. That's why I kind of like Kershaw better in a strikeout prop than I would Darvish. However, the reason you might like it is Darvish might get pumped up on the road. We saw that with him at Citi Field against the Mets. Maybe he gets a couple early strikeouts and gets him rolling. But I think the playoffs are a different animal than the regular season. I like to go with the home pitcher, especially with the 1-0 lead in this series in terms of those strikeout props.
Yeah, and we know Darvish has struggled in postseason, so be
Yep.
interesting to see how he comes out in this. We have so many phenomenal NFL games on the
Oh
slate
yeah.
for this week. Anything that's jumping off the board to you?
Okay, I got two games. I haven't fully dived into the NFL Week 6 yet. I will in the next couple of days. But two for me is, look, the game of the week: Bills versus the Chiefs. If you love football, this is the game you came to see this week. This is what everybody wants to see. I think a lot of people think these two teams should square off in the AFC Championship game. That would be fantastic if we do get to see that. The thing I know about when we see the Bills and Chiefs play is, look, these teams can put up points. Buffalo 3-point favorites here. The over under in this one, we've got it at 54. The way these teams can put up points, I'm going over right now, especially the fact that Kansas City, their secondary is very suspect. It's not good. The Bills have a better defense, but I see both of these teams definitely putting up over 21 points. Wouldn't shock me if somebody goes over 30 or 35. One of the teams do in this game. So I like that in terms of that game. That's a really good bet for me. In terms of a prop, I talked about this on the New York Post in one of my props last week, Joe. I love Josh Allen over whatever the rushing number is for him. Last week it was 40.5 yards. He's been extremely successful in that this season. 4 out of 5 games this season, he has gone over the prop for his rushing yards. And 9 of his last 11 games against playoff teams, he's gone over that prop. And that's since the start of last season. So he's really been running the ball well. Obviously, his scramble ability, I like that prop. Maybe that goes up a couple more yards to 42 or 43 this week. But I say bang that over because Josh Allen's been crushing that consistently. In terms of the game and the spread, I think this could be a shootout. I would lean to the Bills because I think they have the better defense to get the stops in the end. So if you're going to play the spread, I would say take the Bills -3. That's the play to go there. But I like those props. I like over on the over-under. I also like Josh Allen over whatever his rushing total is.
Now, he had a 98-yard touchdown pass to Gabe Davis in that last game. Josh Allen is playing absolutely phenomenal. Do you think the Bills possibly could get the win over Kansas City and Mahomes, though, Dexter? This is in Arrowhead. This is going to be a battle. We know what happened to the Bills versus the Chiefs last season. Can it happen?
Yeah, I mean, it could happen. The Bills could get the win. The Chiefs could get this too. I mean, my concern with the Chiefs really is their secondary. Mahomes is fantastic. We saw what he did coming back on the Raiders. They blew a 17-point lead on Monday night. Mahomes is just amazing. You see what he's even doing without Tyreek Hill. The one thing I would say is, like, look, I think the Bills are motivated to show that the way they've built their team is to beat Kansas City. And obviously they're going to need to do that when it counts in the playoffs. But I think they're really motivated to show that. I think Allen is motivated to have an MVP season. If he wins this game, I think, you'll see those odds go down on him as the MVP favorite. He probably is right now at this point, the MVP favorite. But I think, maybe if you want to get a bet in on him early before this game, if you think he's going to win, might be a good chance. I've seen it anywhere around plus 250 right now. So still good value on Josh Allen to get MVP. But Joe, absolutely, the Chiefs could win this game. It wouldn't shock me at all. I guess, as I said, I expect it to be a high-scoring game. I think it'll be a shootout. But, I'll trust in the Bills' defense at the end. But if the Chiefs are up with a chance to win it, you're concerned about their secondary. But could they get it done? Yeah, you never know in the NFL week to week. We've seen crazier things. So who knows in the NFL week to week? And so, yes, it's just going to be a fantastic matchup. Everybody's excited about it, and I can't wait to watch.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch this one. I will be cheering for Buffalo. Not sure if my money will go there, but that's who I will be cheering to get the win. What other games are you looking at? You looking at the Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles, or a different one?
So I got a different one here. Bucks versus Steelers.
Ooh.
Bucks. I saw last I checked, 8.5-point favorites against the Steelers. Now here's the thing: the Steelers against the Bills last week, they got blown out 38-3. Okay, so I'm not sure much people have faith in the Steelers. Kenny Pickett, that was his first start. I'm rooting for the guy out of my college, University of Pittsburgh. Want to see him do good with the Steelers. He did not have a great first start at all whatsoever. However, he's going to have his hands full, right? Because he's going against the Bucks. That is the number one team in defense by DVOA. We know that Tom Brady should be pretty successful against a banged-up Steelers secondary. Steelers have talented defense, but they have a lot of injuries on defense right now. However, here's the thing. When it comes to me betting this, what I like is the Steelers are coming back home. They know they've got embarrassed. This is a very proud franchise. They're going through a transition at quarterback. And I think this is one of these games where Mike Tomlin gets the guys fired up. I'm not saying the Steelers will win, but that plus 8.5 is a lot for me. I'll take the Steelers in the points here. I want to give people some numbers here too, okay? Tomlin, as a coach, 37-15-1 against the spread as an underdog from week 5 forward. He's even better at home, guys. A nearly unbeatable 13-2-1 against the spread. That's 87% of the time, right? So Pitt's in a nice spot at home to me here as an underdog against a Bucs team who's going on the road in Pittsburgh. The crowd is going to be pumped up there. So, I like Pittsburgh as his home dog here with the points. Give me the Steelers and the points here. I wouldn't be shocked if this is a close game at all.
Yeah, we all know Mike Tomlin, off that loss, off the embarrassment, is going to really answer back here against a Tampa Bay team that really hasn't been converting as much as we would have expected in that red zone. I love where you're going with that, Dexter. I want to wish you all the best in all of your bets this weekend. Where can people find you on social media if they're looking to follow you?
People can find me at DHenryTV on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You can find me there. You can follow my work at the New York Post Sports YouTube channel or SNY YouTube channel as well too. And you might even see Joe and I did a video this week. She came on with me. We talked a little hockey betting. So it was good. Check that out.
Absolutely, Dexter. Absolute pleasure as always to have you on here. Thank you for joining me on Down to the Wire.
Anytime, Joe. Good to see you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye now.
Bye.
You guys, that was Dexter Henry. Make sure you go over and give him a follow. Again, another guest that you will not be disappointed following. It's time for my second best bet of the night. Now, we did touch on this game, the Washington Commanders and the Chicago Bears. I didn't want to give away what I was betting in this one, but some of you might have guessed it. I have to roll with the Washington Commanders here. I just look at how strong this team could possibly be against the Chicago Bears team. Now, the Chicago Bears are a run-first offense. They are weak passing the ball. And the Washington Commanders, their defense is strong against that run. I think what we're going to see is Justin Fields have to pass this ball. I think we're going to see him get intercepted, and the Washington Commanders get this win. I just love them here on the money line. You can get it over on BetMGM at -110. I'm looking for the defense of the Commanders to be all over Justin Fields in that pocket. Get those sacks. I'd be looking at some sack props for that defense as well, as they're over him all day. Now, this team is only averaging 18 points per game, but they've got a strong passing game, strong rushing game. I think they'll get the points on here. I'm looking for Carson Wentz to really answer back, really say, Ron Rivera, take it and shove it. I'm a good quarterback. I can get things done. This team has the 10th best passing attack in the league. Take the Washington Commanders on that money line. That brings us to our handicapper heat check presented by VegasInsider.com, your home of the best expert picks in the business since 1997. Today, we are recognizing Will Rogers. Will is on a multi-sport win streak, going 15-7 in the last 22 college football picks and 20-10 in the last 30 MLB plays. If you are watching this on YouTube, head on over and check out Will's plays. You can save $10 on his best bets for Wednesday by clicking on the link in the description below. The $10 discount will be applied at the checkout. If you're listening on the podcast, visit the Vegas Insider Expert Picks page to take advantage of Will's hot streak, or click on his promo on the Vegas Insider homepage. That's your heat check. Stay hot, bettors. So to recap my bets of the day, I'm taking the under between the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Carolina Hurricanes. And then I'm going to take the Washington Commanders here on the money line versus the Chicago Bears. I want to remind you guys, I am here every Wednesday and Friday, so I will see you this Friday. I've got some great guests lined up. You don't want to miss it. You can watch the show, though, Monday to Friday from 6 to 7 Eastern. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me here on Down to the Wire on the Vegas Insider Network, presented by BetMGM. Until Friday, you guys, keep smiling and let's make some freaking money.